Welcome back to the channel, RevKev RC. I'm going to be pretty brief on this one. This is going to be the maiden voyage talk before we go out to the trail. This thing is stock. This is, of course, the Terranaut 8x8. 8-wheel drive, 8-wheel steer. Pretty awesome. I haven't done anything to it, so we're going to run it out on a new trail system that I got introduced to recently that is absolutely awesome. And we're going to run it with stock battery right where it goes, and gonna have a good time. And then when we get done, we'll see you back here for some afterthoughts about how it did. So nice short intro. Gonna get right to the trail footage, so I'll see you out there. Okay, if I have done this correctly, we will be cutting from the intro portion to the trail portion. And I am out at this newish spot for this little guy's maiden voyage. The Terranaut 8x8, 8-wheel steer, 8-wheel drive. This little 18th scale, but it's actually fairly large given it what it is. We're going to attempt all of this all the way up there. See how this goes. I'm pretty confident in this little guy just based on some of my testing at the house. I think it's going to be able to do it, and I'm going to try to capture as much of it as I can on film. So I'm going to start by going down this little canyon right here, traversing these rocks, getting down into the lowest part, and we're going to drive through here and just see how it does. I think it's going to do well. But this thing has never seen dirt, so you and me and the Terranaut are going to do this together for the first time. This is our first actual obstacle with this thing ever. I'm counting on it being so long to get me down this. And I want to say my drag brake is fully on. Yeah. That was actually pretty impressive. I got to make this corner down here to the right. So let me turn my wheels. Use that rear steer. Nice. If not for rear steer, I would not have been able to do that. Still in second gear. All right, got the wheel speed. I need some more wheel speed on that one. Yeah, I think that's 100% drag brake. Oh yeah. So we're just gonna come up out of here and turn around. Prove we could do it. This is going to be hard. I think we're going to do it. Yes. That was a pretty steep climb for this little thing. This is kind of difficult for tent scales. Pretty good. I'm actually really impressed. I did flip the servo direction on the rear steer and made it more intuitive for me. I like that they let you do that. Like most of your steering setups, you can swap it around for your taste. Pretty stable too. Oh yeah, this thing's way more capable than it has any business being. Yeah, I just needed to focus a little bit. Man, a mosquito bit me right on my palm. That is annoying. This could be tricky. It looks like it's a pretty steep to come down. I got to come down this. Yeah, come down it head on. I accidentally hit the gear switch and I put her in neutral. But I made it. Before that happened, that was a very good climb. If you can tell how steep that is. Being able to move the rear and the front backwards and forwards, or left and right, I guess, rather. You keep finding new traction. Now, this next thing, this descent right here, is going to be a good test of me and the Terranaut. So I'm probably going to put it in second gear and be ready to give it some throttle. But the low speed control, even though I'm downhill and the drag brake is still 100%. Oh yeah, no problem. Here's going to be probably the toughest thing of all. But I think if we use our 8-wheel steer intelligently, we can get up through this. This is stuff that a 10 scale would have a little bit of a hard time with. Larger rocks, lots of hard angles. All right. So far, so good. Little crab walk. Got our bumper free. All right, little reposition. Give you some perspective of what we just did. Climbed up all those rocks right there. Now we're here. We're going to go over here and go off a diving board. This thing is a hill climbing champ. I mean, it ought to be. I think we kind of knew that it would be. There's no way it'll climb that. No way. No. We need like 3S brushless. Oh, I'm about to eat my words. Yeah, I'm about to dump it. Holy cow. It made it. It made it up that. That was crazy. Yep. I've never been so happy to eat my own words. Oh, I hit a root and it flipped me. That root. Right there. Yeah, second gear don't really have the juice. Not for climbing. Yeah. If that root wasn't there, we could do it. Let's keep getting trapped in it. So while I was rescuing it from its side, I pulled out probably 10 feet of pine straw wrapped around all 8 axles. So I bet you it'll have a bit more speed now. And a whole lot less complaining about it too. Now, if I can get this across here without crashing, that'll be something. I think I need to take the rear end and swing it out. Like that. And then crab walk like that. I call that a good try. Let's give it one more. I kind of think we could do it. That's not a good look. All right, last one for real. You guys know how this works. Every time you get almost there, it's, all right, last one for real. Okay, no, this one. Oh, very close. I'm going to call that good enough. Whoa, give her the old celestial help. Got it. That is going to do it for the Terranaut. Whoa, that was pretty good. Pretty challenging for this little guy. But it honestly did everything I thought it would do and some. And I'm actually pretty happy with it. So this is going to be the end of the trail footage. I will edit out whatever is appropriate and leave in as much as possible. And I'll see you back at the bench for afterthoughts. Okay, we're back in the shop, back in the RevKev garage. I call it the shop. I do a lot of RC work in here. But we're back. This thing did absolutely amazing, in my opinion, especially for what it is. Was running on a 10th scale sized course. You know, it's not an actual course. It's something that some RC buddies made who live local, and whole lot of fun. I went out there with them. I brought an 8th scale. 8th scale was able to hang, did all the stuff pretty easily. A couple of tight spots, which in the running footage, you'll notice that this thing was able to go through all of the obvious tight spots where an RC might get stuck. And it did really, really well. So I think hill climbing with this was very, very good. And the only time I think I had a problem with power was when all the axles were just completely wrapped up with pine straw. The biggest obstacle out there, if I'm going to be completely honest, was probably the pine straw. It made things that were slippery even more slippery until you finally cleared it away. But unfortunately, after you cleared it away, it typically wound up inside of your axles. With this one, I did mention that I was going to run the baby capper out there, and we'll be talking about that as well. Not in this video. It's going to get its own video, just like I got its own running footage. But this is an 18 scale with 8 wheels, 8-wheel drive, 8-wheel steer, and the capper is of course 4. So I thought it'd be a fun little test to see which one subjectively, in my opinion, and perhaps your opinion, if you watch the footage from both of these, which one you know, I'm not gonna say which one did better. They're very different. The Capra is just considerably larger, especially the wheels. But this thing being so long, but having the 8-wheel steer was an absolute requirement for many parts of that track. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a bit difficult recording and driving and talking and not falling down in the woods. So you're going to get to see the kind of awkwardness of me trying to do all that. And there is some commentary throughout. So pretty legit. I think this thing did really, really good. It performed on the hill climbs probably better than I thought it would. And I think that if the trail was a little bit less covered in pine straw, we would have seen this thing do things quite a bit easier than it did. And again, for its size, it's really, really good. I am very happy with this thing. So I'm going to try it out in a couple more places. I think this thing needs a run out at Slick Rock, because even though it is small, it is quite capable. And with all these tires driving and all the directionality of them, I think it'll do more than they probably intended it to. So if you like the running footage, if you like the commentary, let me know. If you have one of these or are going to get one, if you think that my videos on this thing are good and valuable, let me know. Let me know in the comments. I do want to go ahead while I'm thinking of it. Man, this thing's falling apart. It's a shoe brush. But I do want to talk about real quick some things that, I mean, I like 95% of this thing, how they designed it. I think it's great. The truck itself is actually really good. What I don't like is how they configured the remote. And so yeah, I got it labeled Terranaut 8x8. And this is a kind of a minor gripe, but it is a gripe. So I want to talk about that. I'm going to point out some things as well. I don't like the winch being right here. And I don't like the 2-speed being right here, because when I try to steer the rear axles with that, my thumb naturally curls or I rub across the switch. The switch, they could solve this by making the switch more difficult to move. I think that would do it. Just make it a little bit harder to move, make it more intentional. So rubbing past it when you're trying to thumb steer. So you're thumb steering with, see, I just did it right here. My knuckle hits it while I'm trying to steer the rear and then the front as well. So I slipped it into neutral a couple of times out there on the trail, and that's, you know, it's not ideal. And I also don't like the winch being right there. The button is pretty sensitive and very close. I would have liked to seen it down here, and I may actually end up going in here and seeing if I can swap out the channel and make this the winch and this the lights, because the consequences for flipping the lights around while you're going are minor. The consequences to having the winch either pulling in the whole time and burning out your winch servo that's underneath this cover, that's a little higher stakes. So I would rather this have been the lights and this have been the winch or something. That's kind of my only real complaint with this. I think the truck itself is actually really good. I think it's got great power, great low speed control, and the steering servos, all 4 of them, are actually really good, especially for being an RTR and the money. I wanted to cover something on here that I don't know if anybody else has talked about and why they've done this. So if you look, you see you've got the drag brake There's 2 drag brake settings on here, and that is going to be on channel 3 and 4. Now, right now they're both all the way up. They're at their most strongest hold for drag brake. So if you flip them both down, what you end up with is basically like free roll. It's not like it's in neutral, but you drive and you let off the throttle and it will just coast to a stop under the normal resistance of the brushed motor. If you flip just that one up, you get more like what I would call a trail setting, where you have probably something like 50% drag brake enabled. So under the truck's own weight, the trail setting, or the channel 3 here being flipped up, is almost certainly all you need. And if you are wanting super drag brake hold, you just flip up that number 4. Now, the reason I think that they've done this, a couple of companies do that. FMS does that on many of their 18th scales. So this is a neat feature, but why I think it's especially cool for this thing is because they have made this to be able to pull and tow things. So if you have this truck crawling in only under its own load and weight, and you have both of these all the way up in second gear, there you go, all the way up in second gear, and you got max drag brake, and you give it full beans and then just let it off, it's going to lock up the drivetrain. And probably you don't want to be doing that over and over again. But under its own weight, it's probably going to be okay for a while. However, they made this to tow things. So it is a good idea to utilize these settings for your drag brake, so that when you're pulling something and you let the throttle off, you don't have all the weight of your truck and all the weight of whatever you're towing back here pushing on the drivetrain, pushing on the little gears in here, pushing on the portal gears, pushing on all this, backwards, trying to force the motor to turn. And if you have 100% drag brake enabled, right? So we're talking about full drag brake and as quickly as possible. So basically, like 3 gives you full drag brake, and then flipping the 4 up is going to give you full drag brake, and it's going to have the rate at which it engages all the way to be very, very quickly, essentially instantaneous. So this is something you're going to want to pay attention to, where these are, if you're going to be using this thing to tow stuff. I don't advise running around towing things, or really going fast at all, especially on high traction surfaces, with these both flipped up to the most strong, aggressive drag brake hold that you can get. So I'm just going to pop the battery, turn it on real quick, and just demonstrate kind of what I'm talking about. So you'll get an idea if drag brake and drag brake rate are foreign to you, foreign concepts. This will make it clear, right? Right now, truck is in first gear. That's 100% drag brake. All right, let me drive it forward so you can see it. I'm pushing on it right here. All right, that's just the gear backlash. That's just the slop in the drivetrain. But that is holding it solid. Now, if I were to give it throttle while I'm pushing on it and then let it go, it stops immediately. Now imagine there's a high traction surface and you're also pulling something and you're also in second gear. Second gear's drag brake is still pretty good. It's not as good as first. But just to give you a little demo, let me go back to first. We're pushing on it. Now let me just take and go to the extreme. Turn them both off. See, we still got drag brake with them both off, but the rate is basically almost non-existent. So watch. All right, that is going to help protect your drivetrain from high-speed stops, and especially while pulling something back here. So let's just flip 3 up, and we'll see what it does. It has reduced the distance that it allows it to travel. Still got good drag brake once we stop. So these are effectively turning your drag brake rate up and down. I have to put it on 4. All right. Also, in keeping with that same bit of logic, we've got forward reverse, which is enabled. That's more like a crawl mode. And we got, cover that LED so you can see it, forward reverse brake. That's a very cool feature to have on any crawler, but if we were to flip this and then flip these down like that, now what we're going to have, now our drivetrain is extra, let's see, like extra, it's even like rolling itself. It's not applying any brakes at all. This is probably what I would do if I were towing. I would leave it in this setting. Switches 1, 3, and 4 all the way down. Because any weight that you have, and once it stops, you get full stop. That's full brakes. I'm having to drag it across my bench, but it'll coast to a stop with minimal. And there's a brake in here, so you can go like that and add the brake. It's not reverse, it's a brake, which still gives you control of when you brake. Now I suspect if we were to turn these up, that will make it brake even more aggressive. Let's see. Yeah. See, now that we've turned those up, it doesn't free roll as easily, almost at all. Yeah, I would not tow like that. Let's turn 4 down. Yeah. I'd say if I were towing, I would keep 1 at forward reverse brake and 3 and 4 all the way down. Because you still get, once you stop, you still get the hold that holds everything in place. But you can add brakes when you need. But it won't, even at high speed, like I don't have enough room to do this at high speed, but yeah, so I'm able to just add a frame, give it full throttle on 2nd gear, and then punch it up into reverse or into brake. So that's how I would do it. If I were going to pull stuff, pay attention to put that on 1 and put these, or put that all the way down, and then put 3 and 4 all the way down if you were towing to keep things from breaking. So right now it's free rolling a little bit easier because it's in high gear. So if you put it down in low gear is considerably, the gear ratio for first and second gear are quite far apart, which is really good. So this thing can pull quite a bit, and it has great drag brake, and it has good slow crawling capability. It's noisy, but it's one of those ESCs. So that's kind of the important thing I wanted to tell you about what you can do with these functions and why you might want to pay attention to them and not just leave it where it is and then go pull something. You're looking to not break stuff is kind of what I'm talking about. So use that information how you see fit. I hope I have been informative. And also, if you find one of these, I got this in the hobby shop. They were on clearance. This will fit in there. It's a 2000 milliamp. So we're at a 900 milliamp. It does fit in there, just barely. The battery strap is just barely long enough. But you can cram that in there if you find one of these. Or maybe Google it. I don't know. That does fit. Also, I'm going to try to add a different strap so I can more easily fit this bigger battery in it. But it does fit. I did run it. That's going to do it. Like, comment, subscribe, share, do all the things. Ring the bell. That's a thing too. Yeah, ring the bell. But this thing performed absolutely amazing, and it's super cool. So, all right. I will see y'all in the next one. Later.